Hi everyone, and congratulations on making it through section 3 of this tutorial series. In this section we set up our equipment system. So let's take a look at what we've done, which really is we've expanded on what we've previously had. So let's go to our core actors items. We updated our equipment master so that we have an equip item event on our onConsumed, where we get the inventory actor and we run our equip item event, which has taken place in our inventory master. We'll take a look at that in a minute. We update this on our children. So our head mounted display, we run that event we just looked at. So onConsumed on the parent one, wrong parent, it goes up to here, which is the equip item. And then we set it so the flashlight is equipped. We do the inverse on the unequipped. We set it so the flashlight is not equipped. Now, the difference between these two buttons, onConsumed and on unequipped, is that the onConsumed event triggers the inventory, and the on unequipped event is triggered by the inventory, which is why we don't have a similar unequipped item event down here. So one is the item telling the inventory, hey, put me into this other spot. The other one is the inventory saying, hey, you're no longer in this spot. So that's the major logical difference here, why we don't have a equivalent down here, because again, this is calling the inventory system up right here to run that equip item master, but here we have nothing. It's literally the item going, do something with me. This one, it's the inventory system going, I need you to do something. So that's a very simple setup we have there. On a quick note, we did update in the final video of this section our item master in our construction script. We just moved the was discarded stuff after the adjust collision and went around the adjust collision if it was false into it either way. So either way, if the item was adjusted or not for the collision, we still check was it discarded or not to change how the was discarded works. Hopefully this won't interfere with what we're going to do with the trees in section 4. If it does, we'll come back and reiterate this again, but that's part of the process. All right, really the main focus of the last section was in our inventory system and our widgets. So if we pop open our inventory system, we have these set of new functions. Let me just close everything to the right here real quick. And let's walk through this. We have a very similar setup to what we did for our inventory system. We set the number of slots, except for this is a predefined set that will never change. It's 7. 4 body-based, 3 weapons. We have our type of slots that we set, and we come into there, our 7 slots, and we get an index. We set a index to enum check. If our index to enum is less than 4, we're fine. If it's greater than 4, then we have to change this, because greater than 4 are our weapons, and our enum just goes 0 to 6. So at 4, or sorry, 0 to 4. At 4, that's our weapon. We have to switch back to 4. We can't go above 4. So we're setting first run through here 1 1 head 1 or sorry 2 2 on the next one body 3 3 feet or legs 4 4 weapons. Actually, technically it's 0 0 1 1 2 2 3 3 would be legs or feet, and now 4 4 weapon 1 5 5 becomes 5 4 weapons again. If we were to say 5 5, it would become outside of the enum max. Once we've set the equipment slot type, sorry, that was probably really confusing, we can also then equip our items. We get the class, we get where in our inventory, keyword inventory, it's stored. We check, is there a empty equipment slot? And that check is a bit complex, and I'll come through this in a minute. Let's talk about what happens as a result of it. If there is not a valid slot, which means there's something wrong with the equipment itself or how the slots are labeled, then it fails out. If there is a valid slot, and there should always be one, it checks, is that slot empty? If it is, it just equips the item right here. We then store the item weight. We then set some stuff for our UIs. We then discard the item but don't spawn it in, which is why it's set to false here, because we're removing it from the inventory. Because we're removing it from the inventory, we then add the weight back in. Because remember, when we remove something from our inventory, it decreases the weight. We're just changing what structure it's in, but in this case, because we're doing it that way, and we're trying to save some time and not having to write new code, we're just going to increase the inventory again, or increase the weight again. If, however, the slot is filled, then we swap the equipment and we update our slots. Now let's talk about the find empty slot here. So we come in, and this is a bit different. If we find an empty slot that's valid, then we're going to break away from this right away. However, in some cases, we might have a weapon in slot 2, but not 1. And hey, we have an empty, or in slot 1, but not 2. We have a valid slot, but it's not empty. Check the next slot, and now that slot's valid and empty. So it's trying to account for having multiple types of the same slots, so 3 weapon slots, as well as being able to swap equipment out. So we don't want to swap if we have 3 weapon slots and only 1 is filled. We don't want to swap that slot. We want to fill the other 2 first. So we come in, we go to our first slot, and we check, is this valid? Now this is automatically false the first time we come in here. So we first check, is this a valid slot? If it is, then we go on and we check, is the slot empty or not? If it is empty, then we say it's empty, it's valid, and we leave because we found exactly what we're looking for. If we come in, let's say again, first time it's not valid, we check here, it is valid. So we have the default, are we already valid? We aren't, so we check, is it? It is. Let's say it is a weapon slot, it's full. We go, okay, well, I'm not empty, but I'm valid. I'm a good index. Let's go to the next one. And then we check the next one. Well, I'm already valid. Because I'm already valid. So we come through the true. Am I the right type? Yes, because weapons 2 would be the right type. Am I empty? Yes. And then we go through here, set it as is empty, is valid, and we leave through. Now, there might be a small issue with the weapons where this is setting on the 3rd one. And what we probably want to do is add another check in here, but we can take care of that down the road when we get towards section 6, I believe, of the series. So if we have to swap, all we do is similar to our swap is we store some of the information temporarily. We override our inventory item. Now, because we're passing in the information of what that inventory item is, we don't need to store it. And then we take the inventory item, the information we're passing in, and equip it. All right. And then let's see what else we have here. We have our simple check if the slot is free or not. Our get equipment information. Remember, we do need the item class. The only thing we aren't passing out in the interface is item class, so we use that internally. The reason why I'm flying through these last 2 ones is they are literally things we did in section 2. We've already looked at the swap equipment. Our discard works very similarly, but in this case what we're doing is we're checking, is there a space in our inventory to add it, and can we add the item there? Regardless if we can add the item there or not, we do the unequip event. If we can add the item, we just go straight to the true, and we change our weight as needed. If we can't, we spawn the item into the world and then do our change in weight. And then our unequip event literally just spawns in a dummy item, runs the unequip event, and then deletes it. Let's close all those tabs and go over to our UI. So if we go to our widget inventory UI here, we have our system on display here. This we can now actually hide if we really felt like it, but it doesn't matter. We have our slot widgets, our menu, and our main widget. It all works pretty much the same way as previously. So there's not much really actually to show here. We've already reviewed this in the last section, so I'm just going to kind of run over this real quick. The major update is we now run an event for setting up our equipment slots. The big thing here is we do the same sort of run through the array to make sure the slot is the right type. And we've added in our setup preferences here. We've added in, when we close, to hide our equipment menu, which is the menu in the center of the screen there. Not the big part, but that little part. To hide that. We have set it to move the equipment menu based on which slot we click on. Let's go into the equipment slot itself. We've duplicated the item slot, deleted out the stack text there. Swapped around these two bits. Now the big key change here is that we have to set visibility because we aren't respawning this each time. All right, sorry, I was just making sure we didn't delete anything else. We run our check is equipped. If it is equipped, then we do that bit. We have our on clicked, which moves the menu, initializes the menu, and all that fun stuff. We have, again, that's pretty much the same as what we had in the last section, which is why I'm flying through it. And likewise, we have pretty much the same setup, except for there's no hover, by the way, in the slot like there was last time. You had to click to get info. And the logic is a very simple, am I active? Yep. Then hide me, am I active? Which this should never really fire. Then run all these steps of showing the menu and updating it. We have our discard, which, runs the discard event we looked at. And we have our close menu. Not much really in terms of advanced work in this. It was more consolidation of what we had done previously. All right, that said, I look forward to seeing you in section 4 of this tutorial series, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.